The rapper Tory Lanez is serving a 10-year jail sentence for shooting and wounding Megan Thee Stallion. Last week, he was stabbed 14 times by another inmate in a California prison, causing both of his lungs to collapse. Many in the rap community and beyond want Lanez to be released. They say he's not safe, but he didn't get a fair trial. A petition calling on California Governor Gavin Newsom to pardon him was shared by Drake this week and has 340,000 signatures. Well, the case has divided the hip-hop world from the outset, with many of his biggest stars taking opposing sides in a very public feud between Megan Thee Stallion and Lanez. But is there more to this case than a popularity contest linked to a serious crime? Well, joining me now are Star Peterson, Tory Lanez's father, and Republican Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna. Well, welcome to both of you. Mr. Peterson, thank you very much indeed for coming on Uncensored. And first of all, I was, like everyone, very shocked to hear about what happened to Tory in prison. He's sustained a lot of injuries. Can you just start by telling me how he is?
Yes. First of all, Pierce, thank you for having me on. Thank you for having us on. And it's an honor to meet you, sir. Right now, my son is recovering, and we're thankful for that. We thank God for that. This was a very brutal, unprovoked situation. And I know that many people like to speculate a lot of things, and when we don't have facts, on the internet, people sort of provide their own, and some people, I guess, are well-meaning, but there's just a lot of misinformation that goes out. However, I'm thankful that he is recovering very well at this time, and so we're grateful. We're very thankful for his recovery. Not for the grace of God, my son could have been out of here. So we are very, very thankful right now.
The person who attacked him is, I believe, serving a considerable prison sentence for killing somebody before. Do you believe it was a deliberate attempt to kill your son? And do you have any idea yet, from any information you've gleaned, as to whether what the motivation for that may have been, or whether it's connected at all to the reason why he's in prison to start with?
I wouldn't want to speculate on what the person's motivation is, because motive comes from deep within somebody's heart, and so I don't have a window to that. However, you know, I wouldn't say that it has. Honestly, sir, I really just can't. I can't speak to the motive. It would be impossible for me to be able to speak to that person's motive.
Now, everybody knows how much I enjoy my tea, and I'm very happy to say that today's show is sponsored by Peak's Pure Fermented Teas. These are not your average brews. They're sourced from 250-year-old wild trees in the Himalayan foothills, which are untouched by modern farming. No pesticides. Have you spoken to your son since, I presume you have, since he was attacked?
Oh, yeah, we've spoken on several occasions.
2 years ago,
my family, we come together and we pray on a daily basis. This has been pretty well 5 years now, almost 5 years since this whole incident ever came to the public's attention. And since that day, we come together sometimes, most times twice a day. Wherever we are in the world, we are on a phone call and we pray. And thankfully, a lot of times he's able to join us. He will, you know, call in from the prison tablet, and we're able to come together and we pray. So since the situation happened, my wife and I, we were able to be with him from the very first day that we heard. This incident happened about 6:30 in the morning, and then by the time we were cleared to go in to see him at the hospital, by the time we got in, it was about 1:30 that afternoon. We spent practically the whole afternoon with him, the following day, and then the next day after that, when he was discharged and went back. So, yeah, I've been in pretty well constant contact with him.
Before I move on, I just want to ask you, are you 100% convinced that your son did not commit the shooting for which he's serving this sentence?
I'm absolutely convinced. I've always been convinced And a lot of the evidence that had been suppressed over the years, a lot of shenanigans that went on in the courtroom, are now coming to light. There's been so much foul play. And I'm not just saying this as some sort of pissed off parent. I mean, one of the things, just by way of an example, and I know that our attorneys have spoken to this. You know, they have laid out things line by line. And I want to even take this moment to, this is the first time I'm meeting Representative Luna face to face. I want to thank you for the masterful job you've done getting it, you know, out over the last little while, over the last couple of days on your, you know, on your platform, so that people can know exactly what happened. But let me tell you from a parental standpoint, a parental observer of my son walking through this. I'll never forget the day when we're sitting outside of the courtroom getting ready for court to reconvene. And imagine the only independent...
Yeah. You gotta give credit to Tory that, you know, and rightfully so, you know. Your son is away for 10 years in a case where it's 90% he might not be the one, you know what I'm saying, doesn't deserve to be. You gotta do whatever it takes to get your son out, you know.
Witness, which should have been the only objective witness in this case, was a gentleman by the name of Sean Kelly. Interestingly enough, the only person that would be able to have an unbiased viewpoint of what actually happened. Imagine that the prosecution did not want to call that witness. Why? This is the only independent witness, but yet you don't want to call this person because obviously his bird's eye view will not support what you want the narrative to be. And so when we sat outside, my wife and I, we saw this gentleman come in, and we sat down, and it was identified for us that, oh, this is Mr. Sean Kelly. He's sitting across from us on the other side of the hallway. And as we sat there, the prosecution came out, one of their detectives or investigators rather, and one of the prosecutors, they took this gentleman, they went upstairs, I believe it was to the 14th floor at that time. By the time this man came down, the witness they did not want to call, this man came down and his testimony became so embellished with other nonsense that people who saw it just looked at it and said, this is crazy. So I saw these kind of things going on all throughout this case. People trying to bury evidence, not trying, burying evidence. A judge that refused to allow certain things to come into the courtroom or to be said, and was totally biased on the part of the prosecution. So the whole thing just stunk of a setup.
Just one last question, because you made me think of this. But if your son was not responsible for Megan Thee Stallion being shot, we do know that indisputably she was shot. Who shot her?
First of all, the whole idea of her being shot is a speculation. That's a speculation. It's to this point has not been proven that she was even shot. And I want to make it really clear, because I'm asked questions a lot as it regards to Megan. Megan is a young woman. I'm a father. I don't have any animosity to this girl at all. We pray for her. I've said that publicly on several occasions. My son included in our prayers. We have prayed for her on many occasions. So anything that I have to say is not to put her down, make her look like this person or that person. But the reality is that in all of this, how can you have a situation where in pretrial, the police, LAPD, says that the bullet fragments they had collected from the hospital just mysteriously vanishes. It goes
That's something, man. That's really crazy. How can evidence be disappearing? Like it's either there is evidence or there's no evidence. But disappearing, that's a cover up, corruption, whatever you want to call it. And even if that even happened in the case should have been thrown out respectfully. Because if the people responsible of like handling this evidence are not are very corrupt and making this evidence disappear, why is in the first place the boy is locked up? The judge should have just thrown this, should have thrown it away out long time ago.
Missing. I would think that evidence is something that is protected in any police department, but they just mysteriously go missing. So there's no bullet fragments to be presented at trial. You have a situation where a gun is shot, and the gun, which is supposed to be your main piece of evidence, does not even show up at court, but some picture of a weapon that resembles or this is the type of weapon they say that was used. The weapon does not show up at court. There is absolutely no, we hear this point of 0.1% of his DNA on the gun. Do you know what that actually means when you investigate it? That over 1.5 billion black people on the planet could have been their DNA. Yet my son is convicted for having used this gun, where an expert witness from the LAPD gets in there and he testifies as an expert of how many pounds of pressure it takes to shoot this gun and to shoot it 1, 2, 3 times and on and on and on. Yet the only evidence you have could fit the profile of 1.5 billion black people on planet Earth. The whole thing stinks of a conspiracy, and it stinks of a cover-up.
Okay, let me turn to Representative Luna. You've taken up this case, and you've done it at a time when Drake has shared a petition to have Tory Lanez released. Chris Brown posted Free Tory on his Instagram story. Kanye West has supported his release as well. I want to play, before I get your explanation for why you've taken up this case, I want to play, this is a version of events from Megan Thee Stallion herself, from her own documentary about what she says happened.
We left to go home. I was in a car with Tory and his driver and Kelsey. We are all arguing. I don't remember exactly what I was saying, but I knew I was talking shit, and he probably was a little offended. I tried to get out the car one time. I'm over this shit. They was like, Megan, get back in the car, get back in the car. We almost see a house. I get out the car again. I ain't even got shit on. I just got on a swimsuit. And I'm walking off, and this motherfucker just started hollering at me. He was like, dance, bitch.
It's a very dramatic sort of recounting there.
Guys, that's crazy, you know. Like the way that you guys said this. Very dramatic. Very, very dramatic.
I knew I was talking shit, and he probably was a little offended. I tried to get out the car one time. I'm over this shit. They was like, Megan, get back in the car, get back in the car. We almost see a house. I get out the car again. I ain't even got shit on. I just got on a swimsuit. And I'm walking off, and this motherfucker just started hollering at me. He was like, dance, bitch.
It's a very dramatic sort of recounting there in animated.
Very dramatic, very, very dramatic.
Form of what happened. She then talked about it again in an interview with Gayle King on CBS, the morning show there, in 2022. Let's take a look at this.
So I get out the car and it's like everything happens so fast. And all I hear is this man screaming, he said, dance, and he started shooting. And I'm just like, oh my God. Like he shot a couple of times. And I
So
was
is
so
he in the
scared.
car?
I didn't even want to move. I didn't want to move too quick, like, cause I'm like, oh my God, if I take the wrong step, I don't know if he can shoot something that's like super important. I don't know if he could shoot me and kill me. Like,
And the final clip I want to play, this is where, in her own documentary again, she talks about that interview and admits she may not have been entirely truthful. Let's take a look at this.
Yes, bitch, I lied to Gail King, bitch. First of all, I didn't know that bitch was even ask me about that shit. Bitch, she's always want to talk about this shooting.
No.
Why'd you ask me about fucking Tory? That's not what this is about. Even if I was, I fucking once, maybe twice, on a drunk night. Bitch, you kept catching me out of my fucking mind.
Now, I don't think you need to be a conspiracy theorist, Representative Luna, to see there's a lot of...
That's very well for her to say. Like, seriously, that's very well.
I didn't even want to move. I didn't want to move too quick, like, cause I'm like, oh my God, if I take the wrong step, I don't know if he can shoot something that's like super important. I don't know if he could shoot me and kill me. Like,
And the final clip I want to play, this is where, in her own documentary again, she talks about that interview and admits she may not have been entirely truthful. Let's take a look at this.
Yes, bitch, I lied to Gail King, bitch. First of all, I didn't know that bitch was even ask me about that shit. Bitch, she's always want to talk about this shooting. Why'd you ask me about fucking Tory? That's not what.
No, I don't think you...
Yes, bitch, I lied to Gail King, bitch. First of all, I didn't know that bitch was even ask me about that shit. Bitch, she's always want to talk about this shooting. Why'd you ask me about fucking Tory? That's not what this is about. Even if I was, I fucking once, maybe twice, on a drunk night. Bitch, you kept catching me out of my fucking mind. Yes, bitch, I lied to Gail King, bitch. First of all, I didn't know that bitch was even. Yes, bitch, I lied to Gail. Yes, bitch, I lied to Gail King.
How can, like, I don't understand it. So if she's openly admitting she lied about one thing, two things, what not to say that she's lying about everything? Listen to this man.
Bitch, first of all, I didn't know that bitch was even ask me.
No.
Yes, bitch, I lied to Gail King, bitch. First of all, I didn't know that bitch was even ask me about that shit. Bitch, always...
How can she do this even in her own? Because this is called Megan Thee Stallion in her own words. Amazon Prime 2024. When this case is still active, didn't her lawyers or her team tell her like not to, like, before this was out, not to do it? Because this is like perjuring yourself because you lied.
Yes, bitch, I lied to Gail King, bitch. First of all, I didn't know that bitch was even ask me about that shit. Bitch, she's always want to talk about this shooting. Why'd you ask me about fucking...
How does Gail King feel right now then? Because yo, they were all on this bandwagon, you know?
Tory? That's not what this is about. Even if I was, I fucking once, maybe twice, on a drunk night. Bitch, you kept catching me out of my fucking mind.
No, I don't think you need to be a conspiracy theorist, Representative Luna, to see there's a lot of inconsistency going on here. You know, she denied to Gail King that there was any relationship with Tory. She then admits that there had been, that she lied. She doesn't admit to lying about the circumstances of the shooting, but certainly this goes to the heart of her veracity. Why have you taken up this case?
Well, first of all, Pierce, thank you so much for having us on to discuss this. And I just want to applaud you and your outlet for actually being able to showcase some of the facts here. Look, I don't have any connections to the rap industry, Mr. West, Mr. Brown. The only people that I really know involved in this are Miss Amber Rose, who actually initially flagged this for me and connected me with Tory's attorney. And when I looked at the evidence, and remember, I'm a
Correction these two people, like, yo, I don't know what your name is, lady. And P.S., you guys keep referring to Ye as West. His name is not Mr. West. It's Ye, Mr. Ye. Respectfully, yeah? you guys need to put some respect on Ye's name.
Member of House Oversight and Accountability, and I actually am the chairwoman of the task force that conducts investigations, most notably into the assassination of John F. Kennedy. So I'm all about the facts, and what I can tell you is that the evidence in this case overwhelmingly speaks to the fact that Mr. Lanes is actually being incarcerated, I would say, as an innocent man. And what I can tell you is, even to your question on what happened with who indeed may have pulled the trigger and, allegedly shot Megan Thee Stallion. Look, I don't know Miss Stallion, but what I can tell you is that the evidence says that there are no bullet fragments and that there are x-rays that the legal team, Mr. Lane's team, actually has that we'll be presenting. What I can also tell you is based on the evidence that I've seen, again, that number 0.01% DNA match, alleging that it's Mr. Lane's, when in actuality, they actually did not choose to test the other 4 individuals there. No fingerprints found on the magazine. By any arguable case, if this was a murder trial, he would actually be acquitted because there is no evidence. And so what I will tell you is, one of the things that people ask is, well, why are you getting involved as a federal representative when this is a California state? He's not from, Florida here, or he's not represented by a Florida member of Congress. What purview do you have? And what I will say, Pierce, is that I have a platform and I have the ability on a federal level to impact prison reform. And what I can tell you is everything in this case, I don't believe that he was actually given due process. I believe it was a stacked trial. I believe the evidence speaks for itself. And I am willing to actually cross party lines to work with Democrats to secure pardon from Governor Newsom's office. And we're currently in the process of setting up talks with Governor Newsom. I do think that he is going to do the right thing. I think that the evidence speaks for itself. I don't know. I didn't know that Drake had posted that petition, but what I will tell you is that that was the right thing for him to do. And I hope more women specifically in the rap community can come forward and speak to this truth, because as you heard from Ms. Stallion herself, she admitted to lying to Gayle King. What I will also tell you is I'm also have been informed that there's actually ring footage, and that will likely also be released here pretty soon. I know we are helping to put the evidence out there to the American people, but I do believe that this is really a terrible case, and what was done to this family is unacceptable, and I will be continuing to push for his full pardon. I think that people owe them an apology. And furthermore, I'd like to finally say this. I actually spoke to Mr. Lanes on the phone in prison yesterday, actually, and he is actually going to get very involved in criminal justice reform to ensure that this doesn't happen to other people, because in his case, he has an incredible family supporting him. He has the financial backing to fight this, but many people don't. And so that's where we are going to continue to champion these causes at the federal level, even all the way to the White House and in Washington, D.C.
It's a good thing, man. It's a good thing also. So all we gotta say is, man, free Tory, free Tory. And Megan, if this happened to be the true thing that you lied about, the Tory suiting you, and you know what I'm saying, we need a public apology, mate. And you know what I'm saying, because we can't have this, man. No matter the situation is, free Tory. Guys, I'm out. Link you guys in a minute.